Welcome to the second day of our annual Clean Fuel Summit, brought to you by Louisiana Clean Fuels and the Southeast Louisiana Clean Fuel Partnership. For those who I have not met yet, my name is Scott Barrios. I have the privilege of being the president of the board of Louisiana Clean Fuels. And also, in my day job, I'm the manager of Entergy's electric mobility portfolio. And I'll discuss a little more about that later, what we're doing at Entergy. I'm a native Louisianan. I lived in the state for years and moved away and then came back. I'm an EV driver as well, too, and driven tens of thousands of miles and multiple types of EVs all over our roads in the region. So it kind of gives me a unique perspective on what the experience like is, the user experience, what type of infrastructure we need. So I bring a unique perspective to that. Yesterday, I thought was an absolutely amazing day here. We had some great presenters. I learned something new from every single one of them. We had, if you got a chance to network with people, it was a great networking opportunity. I think some of the highlights for me yesterday was the mayor of Lake Charles coming in and talking about kind of the importance of the community interaction there. You know, listening to some of the project transportation about the role of natural gas in here. The cybersecurity piece blew me away, absolutely. So, thanks to the team that presented that. It was some great information of things that we look at as a grid operator as well, too. And if you didn't see Commissioner Mike Strain up here yesterday talking about agriculture and the important there, that was a hoot, I'll say that. But, and those who joined us at the networking event last night, I couldn't think there's a better location than that. It was the stables were absolutely gorgeous there. So thanks for Basecamp for putting that on as well too. Appreciate that. And in that, I'd like to thank all of our sponsors. At Entergy, we're the headline sponsor of this event. We did it last year too. And we're thrilled to see this continue to grow over the years. We have our gold sponsor, Clico. Jay is in the room. Some of our silver sponsors, Kenworth of Louisiana. I don't see Scott here yet. TRC Group, and our bronze sponsors, Roush Clean Tech, Chevron Renewable Energy Group, Republic Services, and then we had Stone Oil help out as well too. Like I mentioned, with our VIP reception the first night, and Biotech being our lanyard sponsor as well too. And this afternoon, don't forget we have our Ride and Drive brought to us by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. So get out there if you see those vehicles out there. They're going to have a few more as well too. So they'll have a Chevy Silverado out here, and I don't know if they're bringing the Cadillac Lyriq. I can't remember or not, but you'll get a chance to get behind. I mean, that's a brand new Equinox that probably not a whole lot of people have driven at all yet. So it'd be pretty cool to kind of see that and experience that. So again, thanks to all our sponsors. So if you see our sponsors, make sure you thank them, because we could not do this without any of them. I'd also like to thank our state and federal partners for coming out as well too. We work with several state agencies at Louisiana Clean Fuels and Southeast Louisiana Clean Fuel Partnership. The State Department of Energy and Natural Resources. I don't think Ed could make it out at all, right? We work with the State Department of Transportation and Development, the Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality as well too. Our state partners have been very critical to everything we're doing as a coalition, as well as our federal partners with the Department of Energy as well too. I know we have a few Department of Energy reps here. They really provide the strategic guidance, the vision of what the coalitions do as well too, and kind of accomplishing our mission to move alternative fuel transportation across the state. I'd also like to recognize our board. Like I said, I'm the president of the board of directors for Louisiana Clean Fuels. We have an amazing board. This year, I'm on my second term as the president. We just brought in pretty much 75% of the board is brand new to the coalition as far as, so we wanted to make sure we brought in a new blood to it, a good diverse group of industry across the state. We have good representation from everything from fuel providers to infrastructure companies to energy providers to higher education. It's a good compared to what the board used to be. I'm very thrilled with the representation we got, and we're always looking for new members as well too. So if you want to get more involved in the coalitions, even if you're not local in the area, I know we have board members from other coalitions as well too that I've talked to as well that are present in the room. So it's a good way to get connected with your local clean fuels or clean cities and communities coalitions as well too. And we look at the mission of the board there is to help the coalition achieve its objectives, give them the resources they need, and we want to make sure that we can make these types of events continue success for the board as well too. And I'd like to also thank the staff Ann, Tyler, Jen, Elizabeth, Scott, and our 2 interns as well too. I don't think I missed anyone. Stephanie. We couldn't do this without their tremendous work. So if you see them around, the staff running around, please thank them. They work tirelessly to make sure that this all goes out without a hitch. So, and then our sister coalition, the Southeast Louisiana Clean Fuel Partnership with Aspen and Joan. I don't see her this morning, but I'm sure she's running around. We work together. Like we said yesterday, we have 2 coalitions in Louisiana: the Southeast Louisiana Clean Fuel Coalition Partnership and Louisiana Clean Fuels, and we work, hand in hand on making sure we represent the state in a lot of matters. So. It's really good to see this come about. And the roles of the coalition has never been more important than it is now as we continue to move more towards sustainable forms of energy and the popularity of that growing in Louisiana. So I'm taking a little bit this morning. What I want to kind of discuss is the grid, the role of what's taking place with electric vehicles, and kind of what Entergy's doing a little bit. I won't get into too much what we're doing on the EV side. We'll have another panel after this, but like what is going to be the impact of the grid in Louisiana as well too. So the energy infrastructure in Louisiana is, drastically changing. We're seeing a lot of growth taking place, from industry, from residential growth, commercial growth as well too, and electric vehicles are coming along with that as well too. So I want to analyze a little bit the increased demand on the grid, the potential for renewable energy integration, and kind of the resiliency that's going, what we're doing to provide that as well too. So, first of all, what is the power grid? You hear that term thrown around, but there's a lot of people who aren't necessarily in the energy sector in this room, so it's always good to kind of level set on what exactly is the power grid. It's a system of interconnected power generators, transmission lines, and distributors that deliver electricity to homes and business. The system relies on a combination of traditional power sources such as coal, natural gas, and nuclear, as well as many renewable sources, which we'll find here in Louisiana, such as solar. It's essential to our daily lives. At Entergy, we say we power life. That's kind of our motto. The way we power life is constantly evolving, from providing power at their homes to providing power for people to drive their vehicles now as well too. So we're kind of looking at how people can get to their homes, their workplaces, and the power that we provide for their lives is affordable, it's reliable, it's cheap, it's sustainable, and it's accessible as well too. So we want to be able to have everyone function in the modern world that we're facing. So if you're not familiar with Entergy, we are a vertically integrated utility company that powers life for 3 million customers across our operating companies in Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas, and Arkansas. We're investing in the reliability and resilience of the energy system while helping our regions transition to a more cleaner, more efficient solutions as well too. We have about 24,000 megawatts of power capacity that's being delivered over 121,000 miles of circuits. So we've been here. Our company's over 100 years old. We are headquartered here in New Orleans, in Louisiana, and we employ about 12,000 people across our 4 states and other locations as well too. Now, it's important to recognize when I mentioned the 4 states we operate in Louisiana, we have 2 separate operating companies, and it's good to understand that as well too. We have Entergy New Orleans and Entergy Louisiana. So the reason why that is important because we have 2 different regulators there. Entergy New Orleans is the only investor-owned utility in the United States that is regulated by a city council. So why is that important? Because if you're doing business in Louisiana, as soon as you cross that parish line into St. Bernard or Jefferson Parish, you're in Entergy Louisiana, not Entergy New Orleans. So there's separate rates involved, separate kind of policy, separate maybe engineering teams that you're going to be working with to deliver on these projects. So we want to make sure my team's role and other people like me, we're here to help smooth that out to make sure it's possible. Now, like I mentioned, we're an investor-owned utility. It means we're held by investors. In our case, we're publicly traded on stock exchanges, and then you also have, and it's good to understand there's different types of utilities as well too. So there's 3 main investor-owned utilities in Louisiana. We have our friends at CLECO. We have SWEPCO as well, which is an AEP company in North Louisiana, Shreveport area. And then you have what's also called a cooperative utility. It's member-owned. I don't think we have any representations here, but I know DEMCO usually comes out here. I don't think they could make it this time. But, if you're in some of those co-op served areas, it's good to know who your co-op utilities are, too. You have examples in Louisiana. You have Beauregard Electric, Jeff Davis Electric, DEMCO, Slemco, you name it, there's a bunch of them. So they all work a little differently as well too. And then the third type of utility that you may be working with is called a municipal utility, which one example in Louisiana is Lafayette Utility Systems. They're owned by the city. They function as a function of that city services. So it's important as you're working projects to understand the type of utility you're working with, perhaps because you worked with one utility, you worked with one utility. None of us work very similarly, so it's good to know those different key contacts that you're working with on the projects. So we talked about kind of what's going on with the fuel mix in Louisiana. You heard yesterday, we are an oil and gas state. We are an energy state here. So our primary fuel mix for our grid here is about 71% powered by natural gas. And then about 22% of our total fuel mix is nuclear. So even that natural gas is a very clean burning natural gas. We're developing more combined cycle turbines as well too, invested in that. And then that other 22% being nuclear. And the other rest of the remaining mix, we have about 3% coal, and we're divesting from coal in the next few years as well too. And that's good to know too, because our 3% coal mix here, the national average for coal is 22%. So we're well below the national average for coal, and we're, like I said, we as Entergy are phasing out coal altogether over the next several years. And then we have about, we're also looking at bringing on more renewables as well too. Right now, specifically in the state, 21%. We have 5 gigawatts of carbon-free nuclear as well too. We have multiple nuclear plants that we operate as well too. And then like I said, we're bringing on more renewables. From now through to 2025, we plan on tripling our existing renewable portfolio. We anticipate probably about 17 gigawatts of renewable generating capacity by the end of 2031 coming on as well too. In the past few years, we made several investments on renewables expansion. Specifically, if you're in Entergy New Orleans territory, we brought on what's called the Iris Solar Facility in Washington Parish, and then Entergy Louisiana just last week or 2 weeks ago now announced 3 gigawatts of solar capacity coming on. That was just approved by the Louisiana Public Service Commission. And that's going to be the largest renewable expansion in state history as well too. So that was a pretty exciting announcement that we made, and we've already have numerous solar facilities across the state and many more in other states. And it's important to kind of mention this too. This isn't driven by, what's going on in Washington or in other locations. This is getting driven on us bringing renewables by our customers. A lot of our, commercial industrial customers are asking us for more renewable sources of energy to power their, in some cases, a lot of industrial processes. So we want to make sure we bring on that renewable for them. And we're also developing some new green pricing solutions from customers that we've heard a lot of need for. So renewable energy credits, if you're familiar with those. In Louisiana, we have a few programs, Green Select and Go Green, you could source directly from renewable sources as well. And I can invite you to learn more about those if you visit renew.energy.com. There's some more information on that. We're happy to talk more about that as well too later. And that next piece we want to discuss is resiliency. We serve communities in a region that is extremely vulnerable to natural disasters. So after Hurricane Laura here in 2020, Hurricane Ida in southeast Louisiana in 2021, we want to make sure we can harden the grid as much as possible to get power back restored as fast as possible as well too. So Entergy Louisiana's Future Ready Resilience Program is specifically designed to harden the grid over the next 10 years. It's a $9.6 billion plan that we're currently developing that's proposing about 9,600 different transmission distribution projects across the state. That's going to harden about over 250,000 structures. So it's a pretty, once in a lifetime grid hardening program that we're looking to do, that we're working with the Louisiana Public Service Commission, our regulator, to get approved. We estimate it's going to save customers about $2 billion over future transmission, because when we go into storm recovery mode, that's money that if we harden the grid, we don't have to spend that on recovery as well too. So we're looking at ways we can harden the grid. So we're working very close with state, federal officials on how we can do this, and we're seeking grants. Entergy New Orleans just won through the Infrastructure Investment Jobs Act, the GRIP program, the Grid Readiness and infrastructure program as well too for about $70 million for a grid hardening program as well too. So we're making a lot of investments, working with, like I said, working with our federal partners, because it really comes down to providing that reliable, affordable, accessible power to our customers, because, like I said, the way we power life is going to be changing. Specifically, the EV side of things. So when it comes to electric vehicles in the state of Louisiana, we're working on getting that data. We're working with our partners on how we can analyze this data better from Louisiana Office of Motor Vehicles. But right now, as at the end of 2023, there are about 4 million vehicles total on the road in Louisiana. Less than 0.2% of that makes up electric vehicles. There's around a little over 10,000 vehicles with a plug socket, both plug-in hybrid and battery electric, and about a little over 8,000 vehicles, fully electric vehicles. So we're going to see this possibly increase. If you ignore all the media headlines, electric vehicles sales are still rising. So we want to make sure we continue to support that. But up on the screen, you see a map of where they're registered in Louisiana. No surprise, they're registered where people or big population centers are. Jefferson Parish, if you're not familiar with Louisiana, is the parish right outside New Orleans, Metairie, Kenner area. That's actually the #1 location where electric vehicles are out on the road. It's only like 100, 200 more than Orleans Parish as well too. And then you have your other big population centers, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Lake Charles, Shreveport, that also in Alexandria that also have the good abundance of electric vehicles. But when I gave this presentation last year, the funny thing was we only had one parish that did not have electric vehicles registered. Now every single parish in the state, as of the data as of last year, has an electric vehicle registered. That's pretty exciting in my opinion, of our 64 parishes across the state. But from the utilities perspective, it's not only the passenger vehicles that we are concerned about, it's also the fleets. An article I was reading yesterday again was the fleet perspective is not slowing down at all. That's only going to continue to grow. So we want to make sure we can support those fleet electrifications, and because that's really what some of our concerns is, these big depot centers where multiple fleets are on top of each other, and sometimes they're coming off the same circuit of the substation that we are. So from the utility perspective, that's when we want to make sure we can really support that and understand what's coming. And we have several fully electric fleets in our territory right now. I think we mentioned yesterday some of the bus fleets that we have. Sportrans in North Louisiana, in Shreveport, and then Capital Area Transit System in Baton Rouge have fully electric buses. I want to say CATS in Baton Rouge is up to like 17 electric buses on the road right now, and I think they have about to take some delivery of some more. And they're getting those benefits from the FTA's low no emissions program on getting some of those funding for the buses as well too. We're also seeing a lot of school districts take advantage of the EPA Clean School Bus Program as well too across the state. We now have, as of just a few months ago, electric buses on the roads in Baton Rouge and in North Louisiana as well too, delivering our kids to school in electric buses in Louisiana. So far, the EPA just announced the latest round, the 2023 rebate program. I want to say total we have over $200 million supporting electric buses coming to the state, and pretty much every corner of the state from southeast to southwest to north and center have electric buses coming. So it's pretty exciting to see all this happening as well too. So if you see some on the roads, that's really great. And then it's not just like I said, the federal fleets. We've seen a lot of commercial fleets, Walmart, Domino's delivery pizza. If you're getting a pizza in Baton Rouge, kind of New Orleans area, it might be delivered by an electric vehicle. Some of the ports have electric vehicles. You saw that from the port of New Orleans yesterday. And then, apologize. I really don't need the slides anymore anyway. And then you see you'll see Amazon probably later this year start rolling out electric vehicles in some portions of Louisiana as well too. So needless to say, electric vehicles are coming, more anticipated, and as the grid provider, we want to make sure we can continue to provide that. The grid planning for this growth is critical. Utilities are very good at planning for infrastructure if we know it's coming. Like if we're planning for an industrial site, we know years in advance that it's coming. Electric vehicles, those vehicles can be procured, charging stations can be installed sometimes faster than we're able to know about it, and they're not used to working with utilities, some transportation providers. So we always say, please reach out to utility. You have a project in mind. We want to make sure we can work with you. So we're looking at ways we can do. A lot of utilities are looking at new ways we can do managed charging programs, rate design. How can we the best balance this load? How can we speed up the process for connections? There's a lot of various different strategies. So we're having these discussions with our customers, finding out what works best so we can get ahead of that growth. We launched several initiatives at Entergy to do a lot of this, campaigns. We're training our key account managers, our engineers, because we want to make sure we approach it holistically as a company as well, too. But the electric revolution is here, especially it's coming in Louisiana. We want to make sure we can support it and work with our partners. This presents both challenges and opportunities for the grid that we want to make sure we take advantage of. And upgrading the grid for a resilient, reliable manner is very important. Like I mentioned, we're incorporating more renewable energy sources because that's what our customers are asking us to do. And overall, I feel very optimistic about what we can do with the grid, how we can do new innovative solutions with it to support the electrification of everything that's taking place in Louisiana, because it's not just vehicles, it's home systems, industrial processes, commercial processes. There's a lot more electrifying than just vehicles. So we're looking at it a very holistically approach to support more and more electricity demand that's ever been here than before.